Hey everyone, Jam here, founder of the Conversologist Lab. Thanks for giving me the opportunity to tell you more about what the lab is all about, who it is for, what happens behind the scenes, how it benefits you, and why you should consider joining us. I've had so many conversations with entrepreneurs and marketers, and one thing stood out. Keeping up with digital and implementing it while running a business is a huge challenge. With ever changing features of social network platforms, marketing tools, human behavior, it isn't a surprise that all of us are overwhelmed. I mean, I am for sure. And what happens? You don't know which ones to implement, or you're chasing the latest and greatest to see if it will work for you. You don't have the time to sit in a classroom or watch endless videos alone, or maybe even read articles or listen to podcasts. Don't get me wrong, I'm a fan and I do that all the time. I have subscribed to a lot of newsletters as well, hoping that I can learn from the other experts there. But seriously, like myself, I don't have 24 hours in the day. And even if I had 24 hours in a day and I don't sleep, I don't think I can keep up with everything either anyway, right? I mean, you have a business to run if you're an entrepreneur. And if you're a marketer, you have work to do, right? Because the boss says, hey, your manager says you have to do this, and so on. For those marketers out there, fellow marketers, you feel a sense of FOMO, right? And you focus on the doing because you have to do it. And the next thing you know, you actually missed something. So it's ironic, isn't it? For some, it's feeling alone, not lonely, but you're alone in this vast world of digital landscapeness, so to speak. I've had those conversations wherein even big organizations, believe it or not, big organizations have just one person, you, for example, and you're just trying to celebrate your results. And there's really no one in the company, or at least close to you, and you can just celebrate because they just don't understand. So that's why you feel alone. And I totally understand that, especially when you only have a one-man marketing team or one-woman marketing team, whatever that is, right? So the lab is also for those who realize that digital is the next step in their career. With the emergence of AI, for example, I mean, this could be a natural progression. Or maybe because you'd like to work at home more, so it's more personal, or anywhere, like on a beach, so you don't have to worry about where you actually live or where you're working in a cafe. It doesn't really matter. There are digital nomads out there, so you can be free. So you can also spend time with loved ones. So I've had so many conversations with single moms, for example, who would rather quit their job and focus on not just being at work all day, traveling through hours and hours through traffic, for example, and they don't have time for their children. There's so many times that I've had conversations with women who are in tears because they don't have time for their children, or they don't have time for their families because they have to be at work. So because of that motivation or that feeling, they think that digital is the next step in their career. And they're just starting out, right? And this is where the lab comes in. We understand how challenging it can be to balance work, study, and actually applying what you've learned. So that's where the gap is. When you're working and you're busy, and you'll find a time to go to a workshop, sure, for 2 to 3 hours, right? So that's where the learning is. And then you go back to work and sometimes you don't even remember. So that's where the working is. And then you want to apply what you've learned, but maybe you could, or you've forgotten. So there's that big gap that I really, really want to bridge, because there is a possibility that you can Try to balance work, study, personal stuff, and applying what you've learned in a different environment or a different way of learning. That's where the Conversologist Lab comes in. Ta-da! So, by definition, it's a unique capability sharing community that helps you level up your digital skills while actually getting things done. So you've got your tick box that you have to do. You're actually learning and applying them. That's why we say you deliver as you learn. It's all about learning and doing at the same time. Our signature Nerdgasm and Next Steps huddles are like a one-stop shop where you can learn and apply the knowledge you've gained right away. So what happens is you'll join a small cohort of supportive learners. I made it that way, not 10, 12, 20 people, right? That you would probably not have known their names because it's such a large group. So to be specific, between 3 to 5. So you'll join this group of members or learners who are collectively improving their digital skills, as you will be, and sharing knowledge while participating in practical, goal-oriented sessions. So I just want to stop there. The goal-oriented sessions. This is really, really important because the way we do things is not based on a curriculum, but we are going to ask you what your goal is, right? It's not based on what the expert thinks you should know. It isn't there, but it is more what you learn is going to be based on what you want to achieve. So what sets us apart is our collaborative active learning framework or approach. So no endless videos to watch alone and forgetting them. You work alongside the community. It provides mutual accountability and it fosters camaraderie to celebrate the wins together. So what we give you is a lesson map tied to your goal. It's not a lesson plan. It's quite different. It is the same, but it is different. So it's a map tied to your goal. So learning in digital never stops. And believe it or not, it's never linear. It's not A, B, C, D. There are a few things that are linear, yes, especially learning some tools, etc. But it's never linear. It's very messy. It's squiggly lines, right? You can learn how to, as an example, you can learn how to optimize your social media profiles today. And you can be analyzing ad campaign results in the next huddle. Or on another time, you are actually doing, let's say, writing a blog, and so on and so forth. So we focus on what's relevant for you now and create that map together along with your cohort. So it's also not reliant on one expert. As an example, me. I honestly believe, and when people call me an expert, I kind of cringe because I've always believed that I'm not an expert. Okay, and I believe there are no experts in this field with so much to learn and so much to do and the changes that happen in the digital space. It just isn't humanly possible to know everything. I mean, we're not machines, unless you are, but look, you know what I mean, right? So we rely on each other. The same way I rely with my colleagues in the industry to know, because I know a few people who is an expert, or who has great or a lot of experience in certain aspects in digital, right? So reaching out to the wider community, who, as an example, might be someone who's good on putting up an e-commerce store, will be better than trying to learn everything yourself. It's just too much pressure, right? And it actually helps you move forward faster. That's why we also introduced the chat points. Chat points. It's our own virtual currency in the lab. So by asking questions answering others, sharing your knowledge, and even joining challenges. So we'll have challenges in there. You'll be rewarded with valuable chat points. As I said, it is our currency in the lab. Remember that person who has the experience of putting up an e-commerce store? You can use your chat points that you've accumulated by interacting and engaging in the community and learning more to exchange services or to implement what you've learned faster. Because not everyone really wants to do, say, SEO or do keyword research. You will learn it, you'll apply it, but eventually you'll decide, hang on, I think I need someone else to actually do this for me. And that's okay. That's where the chat points can be used, right? So it doesn't stop there. I mean, nothing beats a face to interact with. Text is great, right? Maybe even audio, but putting a face to a voice or text is the best way to foster relationships. Even though we're mostly virtual, I understand what Zoom fatigue is like. Seriously, it's just like, oh my gosh. Because of the limitations of how breakout sessions work, I'm sure most of you watching this video are familiar with breakout sessions. I wanted a place actually where we literally can move away, not necessarily physically, but virtually from someone's earshot and actually have a private conversation without opening up a new room. But can also just easily go back to the bigger group, for example. It's just like, hey, it's literally just like pulling someone into a corner or just a few steps away and having a private conversation, because that's gold, right? So enter the virtual lab. So we do have the 2D metaverse version of the lab, which is 24/7. So it is open to anyone who would like to meet new people, network. So you can just drop by there. There are desks there, virtual desks where you can sit alone, or if you just want to just move over to the next person beside you, so to speak. And of course, you'll have avatars. So you're not literally physically there, but you have a little avatar. So it's 2D, it's not 3D yet. And this is where we actually, it's a place where you collaborate and brainstorm with your cohort or with fellow community members. This is also where we hold our weekly bite-sized learning sessions. And the accountability sessions as well, so which is the Nerdgasms and next step huddles. It's the 2D metaverse playground, so to speak, where you can learn while you play and never get bored, because it's just really everybody's just doing something, right? In closing, I understand that this is a different way of learning and it isn't for everyone, and that's okay. So if you want to learn, move forward, reach your goals with a community behind your back, then the lab is for you. The Conversologist Lab is for you. If you want to achieve long-term gains and not just shortcuts that can work for now and then all of a sudden it just goes whoo and it won't work, then we'd love to have you join us. So thanks for listening. And if you have questions, please contact our team, myself, and I'd love to have that private conversation as well with you with regards to your goals and see how we can bring you into the lab and meet your fellow learners. Thank you.